The garden shimmered with calm beauty, yet a storm brewed when the poor boy stepped forward, pointing with trembling resolve. The millionaire froze beside his daughter's wheelchair, shocked as the child's tearful whispers tangled with the boy's bold voice. Birdsong fell silent, replaced by the crackling tension between a truth untold and the fear twisting the girl's fragile breath. The boy's clothes were dusty, but his eyes carried a fire that made the millionaire's pulse stumble with sudden dread. "Sir, your fiancée won't let her walk," he said, each word slicing the peaceful garden like a blade of hidden betrayal. The millionaire blinked hard, disbelief spreading across his face as the girl sobbed harder, gripping the wheelchair arms tight. Wind rustled the hedges, as if nature itself recoiled from the dark accusation hanging heavily between the children. The boy stepped closer, pointing again, voice quivering but unbroken, demanding the truth be heard, no matter the cost. The millionaire's breath hitched, confusion twisting into fear as he sensed there was more, something far worse, beneath the claim. In the distance, the fountain's calm trickle mocked the rising chaos, threatening to shatter this carefully crafted life. The girl's cries deepened, desperate yet silent, begging her father to understand the terror she had endured for weeks. And the boy, staring straight into the man's stunned eyes, whispered, "She can walk, but someone doesn't want her to anymore." The millionaire's heart slammed against his ribs as the boy's words echoed, sharp enough to fracture everything he believed. His daughter's trembling fingers clutched the wheelchair, her sobs carrying secrets he had never dared to imagine before. The boy swallowed hard, shifting his weight, knowing the truth he carried could ruin lives, or finally save one. A cloud drifted overhead, dimming the garden's glow, casting long shadows like warnings that justice was closing in. "Every day she tried to stand," the boy muttered, "and every time your fiancé stopped her, saying it was too dangerous." The millionaire shook his head, refusing to accept the image of cruelty forming in his mind, yet unable to ignore it. His daughter's eyes glistened, pleading silently for him to believe the boy, for once, instead of the adults around him. The fountain's rhythm faltered in his ears, drowned by a rising roar of suspicion and the fear of a father betrayed. He knelt before his daughter, voice cracking as he asked, "Sweetheart, is this true? Did someone stop you from trying?" She couldn't speak, only nodded, tears spilling like confession, revealing a prison built from lies and forced weakness. The boy's jaw tightened. He had seen enough to know silence only helped monsters hide longer in pretty houses. And the millionaire's breath left him in a shudder, realizing this wasn't a child's fantasy. This was a buried truth erupting. A gust of wind swept through the roses, scattering petals like fragments of innocence torn apart by cruel intentions. The boy stepped forward again, steady despite the fear flickering in his eyes, ready to reveal the final pieces. "She told everyone your daughter was too fragile," he whispered. "But she wasn't. She only needed someone to believe." The millionaire felt a chill travel up his spine, suspicion sharpening into something far darker and far more real. He remembered the fiancé's insistence on doctors, specialists, endless tests, none of which ever added up. He had trusted her blindly, letting her word override his own daughter's small, hopeful attempts to stand. The girl's lip trembled as she whispered, "I tried, Daddy. I really did. But she held me down. She said I'd fall." The boy clenched his fists, reliving the moments he'd secretly seen, the times the girl reached for strength she wasn't allowed. The millionaire's jaw tightened as he rose, anger swirling with guilt for every moment he had failed to notice. Silence smothered the garden, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves whispering that no lie could stay hidden forever. Even the fountain seemed to hold its breath, the world pausing as the truth darkened around them like gathering storm clouds. And deep inside, the millionaire felt a reckoning ignite. Someone he trusted had crossed a line no forgiveness could erase. The boy hesitated only a second before revealing the moment everything changed, the moment he knew he had to speak up. "I saw her stand," he said softly, "right there by the fountain. She took 3 steps before your fiancé yelled at her." The millionaire's hands shook, fury simmering beneath his skin as he imagined the stolen triumph of his daughter's brave steps. "She told her she'd break her bones," the boy continued, "and she grabbed her shoulders so hard the girl cried in pain." The girl's whimper confirmed it, her head lowering as the memory clawed its way back into her trembling mind. The millionaire staggered back, betrayed, his world tilting as doubt melted into undeniable truth, sharp as shattered glass. He remembered the fiancée's polished smiles, her flawless excuses, her constant control over everything involving his daughter. The garden felt smaller now, suffocating, as though the very air rejected the poison of the lies she had woven. The boy's voice cracked as he added, "She said if the girl walked, she wouldn't need her anymore. And she hated that." The millionaire's breath hitched in disbelief. Was it jealousy? Insecurity? A hunger for power disguised as care? His daughter reached for him, needing protection she had been denied by someone who claimed to love them both. And in that moment, the millionaire realized he could no longer wait. He had to confront the darkness infecting his home. Determination surged through the millionaire as he tightened his grip on the wheelchair, no longer a bystander to deceit. His daughter's tears slowed as she sensed the shift, hope flickering where fear had lived for far too long. The boy watched silently, relieved yet anxious, knowing the next moments would decide everything for the fragile girl. Above them, storm clouds gathered, mirroring the turmoil within the man who had finally seen the truth unveiled. He turned toward the mansion, each step echoing like a promise of justice long overdue, and wrath long restrained. The gravel path cracked beneath his stride, the sound warning the guilty of a reckoning approaching with unstoppable force. The boy followed behind, ready to face whatever storm erupted, because loyalty demanded courage in the darkest times. The girl clung to her father's sleeve, whispering, "Please, don't leave me with her again. I'm scared, Daddy." His chest tightened painfully, guilt burning through him as he knelt and swore, "Never again. I won't let her hurt you." The garden shivered with the rising wind, as if nature itself prepared for the confrontation about to erupt indoors. The boy exhaled slowly, knowing relief would come only when the millionaire finally stood before the woman responsible. And together, they moved forward, toward the truth, toward justice, and toward the unraveling of a fiancé's darkest secret. The mansion doors loomed ahead, heavy and silent, concealing the woman whose lies had twisted a child's fragile world. The millionaire pushed the wheelchair forward, each turn of the wheel echoing louder than the fountain's distant fall. Inside, the air felt colder, as though the walls themselves remembered every cruel word spoken behind closed doors. The boy followed closely, his heart pounding, knowing the truth he carried was about to collide with ruthless denial. Footsteps clicked on marble as the fiancée appeared, her smile calculated, hiding a darkness sharpened by control. But the smile shattered when she saw the children, one trembling, one defiant, and the fury blazing in the millionaire's eyes. "What happened?" she asked, voice dripping sweetness that made the boy's stomach churn with bitter recognition. The millionaire stepped closer, his shadow stretching long across the floor. As he demanded answers she wasn't ready to give. A flicker of fear crossed her face, quickly masked, but not fast enough to escape the boy's sharp, observant gaze. The girl clutched her father's sleeve tighter, shaking as memories of harsh hands and stolen courage clawed back to her. Silence thickened, pressing on them all, waiting for the first word that would shatter the fragile mask she wore. And the millionaire, voice trembling with restrained rage, finally asked, "Why did you stop my daughter from walking?" The fiancée stiffened, pupils narrowing, her carefully built facade cracking under the weight of the accusation. She opened her mouth, but no excuse formed, her silence betraying more truth than any lie she could fabricate. The boy stepped forward, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands, ready to expose everything he had witnessed. "She tried to walk," he said, "but you pushed her back down every time, because you wanted her helpless." The woman's face twisted, fear bleeding into anger as she hissed, "That's not true. He's lying. He wants attention." But the girl sobbed, shaking her head desperately, the truth pouring from her eyes even as her voice remained trapped. The millionaire's jaw clenched, the weight of betrayal crushing him as he stared at the woman he almost trusted with everything. He remembered the bruises she dismissed as accidents, the tremors she blamed on nerves, the silence she forced on his daughter. The room grew colder, as if the mansion itself recoiled from the poison dripping from her false innocence. The boy inhaled sharply and added, "I saw her walk. I saw her smile, until you grabbed her and scared her again." The fiancée's breath quickened, panic rising as every lie unraveled, leaving her exposed in the harsh light of truth. And the millionaire finally whispered, voice breaking, "You made her believe she was broken, just to keep control." The fiancée's mask shattered completely, revealing the twisted desperation simmering just beneath her polished exterior. She took a step back, eyes darting as if searching for an escape. But truth had already closed every door around her. "I was protecting her," she snapped, though even she seemed unsure of the words spilling from her trembling lips. The millionaire shook his head slowly, the betrayal cutting deeper than any enemy's blade, because she lived inside his trust. The girl's voice finally broke free, fragile yet devastating. "You said Daddy would stop loving me if I walked alone." The boy flinched at the memory, because he had heard the same cruel whisper echo across the garden once before. The millionaire froze, breath stolen by the horror of those words, his heart cracking under the weight of his daughter's pain. "That's not true," he whispered, kneeling beside her. "I love you more than anything, walking or not walking." The fiancée's panic ignited into rage, her voice rising as she tried to twist the truth into something unrecognizable. "You needed me," she screamed. "If she could walk, you would have pushed me aside. You were drifting already." Thunder rumbled outside, shaking the windows, as if the world itself judged her desperate, selfish confession. And the millionaire rose slowly, eyes cold as winter steel, finally seeing the woman he almost married for who she truly was, A storm railed against the mansion, wind howling like a warning as the millionaire stepped toward the trembling fiancée. His voice was ice when he said, "You stole her strength, not because she was weak, but because you feared losing control." The fiancée backed away, tears streaking mascara like black rivers carved by guilt, fear, and a shattered illusion. The boy moved closer to the girl, ready to shield her if the confrontation grew darker than truth alone could handle. "You manipulated us," the millionaire continued, "twisting love into fear, care into chains, and trust into weapons." Lightning flashed, illuminating the room with a harsh brilliance that made every lie seem uglier, every truth sharper. The woman collapsed to her knees, sobbing, but her tears no longer washed away her cruelty. They only revealed it clearer. The girl looked away, unable to watch the downfall of someone who had stolen her courage day after day. The boy laid a gentle hand on her shoulder, grounding her, as the storm inside the mansion finally mirrored her own. The millionaire exhaled, tremor returning to his voice as anger faded, replaced by sorrow for the damage done. "You will never come near my daughter again," he said, each word final, unshakable, forged in the fire of truth. And with the storm roaring outside, the fiancée realized her control had shattered, and she had no power left to wield. The next morning broke quietly, sunlight cutting through the storm's remnants like hope tearing through long-held fear. The millionaire guided his daughter to the garden, the same place where truth had first fought its way into the light. The boy walked beside them, offering silent support as the girl stared at the fountain, the scene of her stolen triumph. "Are you ready?" her father asked softly, kneeling with the patience she had been denied for far too long. The girl inhaled shakily, placing her trembling hands on the armrests, feeling a courage that once belonged to her return. The boy nodded at her, his eyes warm with encouragement, no longer clouded with fear of the consequences. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up, her legs unsteady but determined, her breath hitching as strength awakened. Her father's eyes filled with tears as she took her first true step, then a second, then a third, this time without fear. The garden brightened with every movement as though the earth itself celebrated the freedom she had reclaimed. The boy grinned through tears, knowing this moment would heal more than her legs. It would heal her spirit. The millionaire embraced his daughter, whispering, "You were never broken. They just never let you try." And in the golden light, with hope restored and darkness banished, the girl finally walked, this time toward her future.